slip in your palm and a hole in your chest. Black coffee on the felt, man, you look like a mess. 3-team parlay turned to dust in your hand. Now you stare at the chips like they made you this man. But don't you go quiet, don't you fade from the floor. Your name still means something to somebody for sure. Put the glass down, baby. Look at me now. Hold on, hold on. Not tonight, not now. Hold on. Let me pull you out. That fella bites hard, but it don't get the crown.
What's up, everybody? It's Toad back with you. Toad Stool Sports, Tuesday, May 12th. Got another win yesterday on the show, bringing us to a 70-34-5 run over the last 38 days. I think we're on a 14-1 run over the last 5 days, something like that. The only play that I gave out on the show yesterday was the Colorado Avalanche. They won. You could look at that game multiple ways. I mean, Colorado probably should have had a bigger lead in the game. They pretty much dominated the game statistically if you were watching that game. They just, I don't know, like the first scoring opportunity Minnesota had, they scored, took the lead, kind of fluky. And then Colorado had way more opportunities, wasn't scoring as much, but they never trailed after they tied it after that. Took the lead, it was tied again, then they were going to win 3-2 basically, but they also scored 2 empty net goals. So the game really wasn't what it looked like on the final score either. But we got the win with that. I'm only going to give out one play today. We have a full board today with baseball. All the teams are playing today in baseball. We have WNBA back in action, but I don't love this board. I thought I was going to have a hockey play with the zigzag, but I looked at it and I'm like, I don't know, man. Maybe I'm being way too selective here. Baseball, I mean, a day like this, you get teams that are like in situational spots where you want to fade these teams, and then I look at the starting pitching matchup, and I'm like, I can't do that. So I have reduced it. I've boiled it down to one play today, and it's going to be kind of a pussy play as well in baseball, but that's all I have. Dirty Sock, what's up? Thanks for hanging out. Let's get into it, man. I want to run this baseball board down. I feel like I talk too much about the baseball when I get into it. Anaheim at Cleveland. They did play yesterday. Cleveland won the game 7-2, I believe is what the final was yesterday. So you could argue maybe it's a bounce back spot here for Anaheim. We're still looking at an Anaheim bullpen that sucks. They used 3 of their relief pitchers yesterday. Cleveland used 3 as well. Bullpen rankings, Cleveland is 13th, although I don't like that their ERA is above 4, but most of the teams around them are kind of in that range. Anaheim is a terrible bullpen, though, 27th. Clearly, Cleveland has a bullpen edge here. Hitting-wise, Anaheim is the better hitting team, 13th, and Cleveland is 22nd. So I order these by WHIP and OPS. I think that's just a better indicator. Tyson, what's up? Yeah, a 1-0 sweep, yes. I'm going to try to do it again today, man. I'm trying to go 1-0 today with this board. Anaheim has Walbert Urania pitching. He's been a bit all over the place, man. I mean, he's really young still, 22. I think this is his first season in the majors. He has a 3.22 ERA, which is pretty good. 1.57 WHIP is not good, though. He's been significantly worse on the road, which is where he is today. 6.75 road ERA. That's not good. His recent starts, this month he's actually been decent. He's only allowed 1 earned run in each of his last 2 outings, but they were both at home. Like, all of his better starts have come at home. They were against the Mets and the White Sox, not exactly hard-hitting teams. And he did still have a 9-6 strikeout walk ratio over those 2 outings, so the walks are concerning. Overall, 22-16 strikeout walk ratio and 22 and a third innings pitched, 19 hits allowed. The number of walks, that's his problem, but he might have a little bit of an advantage because Cleveland has not seen him before and they don't hit well anyway. So is he capable of pitching well here? Yeah, he is. It's just, I don't know, man. It's a little bit difficult to figure out what he's going to do. I don't like his bad home road splits as far as the road is concerned. Slade Ciccone is pitching for Cleveland, though, and he has not been very good. 6.15 ERA, 1.59 whip. He is a bit better at home, though. 4.91 home ERA, so the home road splits do favor him. He's just not pitching that well in general, man. He's having a lot of short-ish outings. He hasn't made it 6 innings since early April, and that was the only time he did it. 31-16 strikeout walk ratio. That's not impressive at all. 49 hits allowed in 41 innings, 8 home runs on top of that. These are bad numbers, dude. I know last time out he held Kansas City to 2 earned runs. That's good. But he did walk 3 guys in that outing. That was on the road. And maybe you give him a pass for a bad outing before that because it was at the A's stadium, which is not a good stadium, but he still got batted around in that game. His numbers against Anaheim are really bad in 30 at-bats, 467 average allowed, 1467 OPS. It's not a huge sample, but it's enough to kind of indicate he does not do well against them. 4-2 strikeout walk ratio. I'm going to lean to Anaheim in this game, maybe first 5, because I really would not want to deal with their bullpen. Looks like the money is indicating on Anaheim here. 66% of tickets, 92% of the cash on them. You're getting them as a decent underdog. Cleveland about -140 for the game, although I'm guessing you're going to get Anaheim at a smaller underdog if you take them first 5, but that would probably be my preferred way of playing this would be Anaheim first 5, but Urania, his road numbers are what they are. They're not good, so... an over is worth considering as well because Urania isn't good on the road. Ciccone, bad matchup, hasn't been good this year. Both bullpens are pretty questionable or worse. I wouldn't disagree with an over. It looks like 93% of the cash and 74%, or 93% of the tickets, 74% of the cash on the under. Makes no sense. I don't know who's coming in and playing an under. Like the public bettors, you think they're playing an under in this game? There's no way. But I would lean over in that game, 8.5. Yes. Kyle, what's up, man? But yeah, I think, I don't know. I might prefer first 5 Anaheim in that game, though. All right. Yankees at Baltimore. Baltimore got the win yesterday, 3-2. Didn't really expect that to happen, but, Baltimore was in a decent situation yesterday. I didn't like the matchup, but they got the job done somehow. Baltimore used 3 relief pitchers yesterday. The Yankees used 2. Yankees have the better bullpen of the 2, though. Yankees are ranked 9th right now. Baltimore is 14th, so not a huge gap between the 2. Yankees have a bigger offensive gap. They're 3rd in offense. Baltimore 19th. Will Warren is slated to pitch for the Yankees. He's been pretty good, 3.46 ERA. 1.2 whip, getting a little bit high, but it's also getting a little bit skewed from his last outing that wasn't very good. He's actually been better on the road this year. Not the case last year, though, so I don't know how much weight I want to put into that. 2.61 road ERA. It's a very small sample size. Last year, he was not as good on the road, though, so keep that in mind. But he looks a little bit better this year than he was last year. Not a good sign, though, that he got knocked around by Texas in his last outing. Texas does not hit well. Maybe you argue it was a fluke because he hadn't allowed more than 2 earned runs in any other outing. So, yeah, there's a chance that he does bounce back and pitch better here. His previous start was actually against Baltimore, who he's pitching against today, and he did well in that one at home. Went 6 1/3 innings, gave up 1 earned run, 9 strikeouts, 1 walk, 3 hits allowed in that one. 53-11 strikeout walk ratio overall, 39 hits allowed in 41 2/3 innings. Those are all pretty good numbers, so yes, he's doing well this season. Baltimore, even though they just saw him, I don't know how much that's going to help their hitting because they're pretty familiar with him. They have 61 at-bats against him, 21-7 strikeout walk ratio, 230 average, 702 OPS. So he doesn't have the greatest numbers against them, but His numbers against them are fine. I mean, I would say they're slightly better than average. But Baltimore also has an undecided starting pitcher here. There's just not a whole lot I could do with this, given the information that we have, given the information that we do have here. Yankees are public again. What else is new? 88% of the tickets, now 92 actually. 87% of the cash. They're a minus 160, whatever, favorite. Whoever Baltimore's going to put out there is not going to be as good as Warren, in my opinion, so I don't know. Do what you want with the information, but also, I could see Warren potentially not doing that well on the road as well. Maybe he is falling out of form. I mean, this game is almost impossible to handicap, in my opinion. 8.5 is the total. This game is not really one that's even close to being a play for me. I got pretty much nothing on this game. Yankees have lost 4 in a row, though. You got to think the Yankees are probably going to win this game, unfortunately, but yeah, I mean, you could go Yankees over their team total just to finally get something going on the offensive side of things against undecided. This undecided guy's not good, man. Maybe that's the approach here. Just go with the Yankees to score runs, and then you take the mystery of Warren out of the equation. It's basically just Yankees against a bad pitching situation for Baltimore, probably. Although, I don't know, man. I honestly have no idea who's pitching for Baltimore here. I looked at their, rotation, and I couldn't really figure out what they were doing. I mean, what you have to do is you look, when a team is undecided, you go, who pitched 5 games earlier, right? So that was, I believe they had a bullpen game in that game, too. So it's you can't really figure out what's going on with it. That was this game against Kansas City. Actually, Shane Baz pitched that game. No, now I'm confused. I think I looked at a different game. I don't know. Yeah, that's a little bit odd. I don't know, man. I don't think it's Baz because I think he pitched. When did he pitch? He pitched more recently than that. Yeah, he pitched 3 games ago, so it's definitely not him. I don't know what we're looking at here, man. I think I was looking at the wrong game. No. My apologies. It would be this game. Yeah, I'm all over the place this morning. I apologize. It was Cade Povich. That makes way more sense. So, yeah, it might be Povich again today. But if it's him, yeah, I mean, I'm going to have the same thought. Yankees over their team total is probably the approach that I would have in that game, but I don't even want that. Josh, what's up? That picture was AI. Fuck her. The spread? I would not have done that. Empty net goals are just complete flukes. There's no way I would put my money on empty net goals happening. I mean, it's fucking stupid. All right. And 2 is insanely unlikely. 1 is at least somewhat likely, but I still would not do that. I mean, you're basically asking for a fluke to happen in the last minute of the game. There's no way I'm going to have my money on that. Colorado at Pittsburgh. These teams did not play yesterday, so finally we get some teams that didn't play yesterday. Pittsburgh is returning home from a road trip that took them to Arizona and San Francisco. So you know what my thought is when a team is returning home from a road trip, especially across multiple time zones. I want to look to go against them. I think it's a bad situation. They have to readjust to the time zone. You have to get back to family life. It's not a good situation. Usually you get distracted. I mean, are you really going to pay attention to the Rockies? Probably not. But then I look at the starting pitching matchup here, and I'm like, well, Paul Skeens is pitching, so I don't think I'm going to, actually want to play Colorado here. Probably not. But you know that Pittsburgh is going to be a massive favorite here, though. So neither team used any of the relief pitchers yesterday. Now, when teams were off the day prior, I usually lean unders. Generally, just because I think the hitting cools off a little bit and you get rested bullpens. This is not one of those games where I'd really want to do that, though, even though, yes, I know it is Skeens on the mound. I mean, I guess an under is worth a consideration in this game. Not going to be something I'm going to give out as a play or anything, though. These teams are 18th and 19th in bullpen. Pittsburgh's is actually ranked lower in whip, but their ERA is better than Colorado's. I think Pittsburgh is probably the better of the 2 bullpens. Not by a whole lot, though. Colorado ranked 9th offensively. Pittsburgh 6th, though. So these teams have actually been hitting, although Colorado doesn't hit as well on the road. Michael Lorenzen is pitching for Colorado. He has not been good. 6.92 ERA, 1.9 whip. So you can see why we can't play Colorado here. But he's been better on the road. He sucks in Coors Field, but you take him away from Coors Field, he's at least more of a normal pitcher. 4.43 road ERA. He got knocked around in Coors Field in his last outing against the Mets. They suck. They can't hit right now, but, maybe you give him a pass because it was Coors Field. He's had 2 really bad outings in Coors Field, and all the other outings, he's had 4 or fewer earned runs allowed. 26-12 strikeout walk ratio, not very impressive. 39 innings pitched. I mean, again, he doesn't strike out a lot of guys. The real problem is 62 hits. That is really, really bad. He's been way too hittable. But, interestingly, he actually does not pitch that badly against Pittsburgh. 57 at-bats, 20 strikeouts, 7 walks, 193 average allowed. 702 OPS is a little bit high. He has allowed 3 home runs to them. So they have made some strong contact against him, but they still don't have that many hits against him. So Lorenzen might actually be able to pitch okay here. He is going to have to go against Paul Skeens, though. Skeens, we know exactly what he is. 2.36 ERA, 0.71 whip. He's a little bit better at home as well. 2.11 ERA at home. Had an 8-inning shutout last time out against Arizona. He's allowed no runs in 3 of his last 4 outings, although one of them was range shortened against Tampa Bay. 46-7 strikeout walk ratio, only 23 hits allowed in 42 innings. We know he's one of the best pitchers in baseball. Against Colorado, I believe he has good numbers as well, because why wouldn't he? 38 at-bats. These aren't dominant numbers, but they're pretty good. 12-2 strikeout walk ratio is crazy. 237 average allowed, 696 OPS. So, yeah, because Lorenzen is better on the road and has decent matchup numbers, the under is in consideration in this game. It's a low total, 7.5, because it is a Skeens game. Usually you're not getting any value trying to play the under in a Skeens game. The value might be with playing Colorado still, though. It's a bad spot for Pittsburgh. The number is insane at minus 330 something, minus 340. This is a ridiculous number. 85% of tickets, 93% of the cash on Pittsburgh. You could probably grab Colorado on a run line here because the total is so low. It's expected to be a low-scoring game. Maybe Colorado can actually at least come within that run line and keep it close. I don't want to do it, but the situational setup is better for the Rockies. And the Rockies, they're in the middle of a road trip. They're actually already in the state of Pennsylvania. So the travel spot is actually significantly better for Colorado. Coming in from Philadelphia, and they did just get shut out in their last game against Philadelphia too, so it is kind of a bounce-back spot for Colorado here. But they have to go against Skeens, so it is what it is. But yeah, I think the price is probably too high. Even with the best pitcher in baseball, I would even say that even if it was like Skeens pitching for the Dodgers, I would still think this line is just too high. I don't know, man. We're talking about baseball. That line is just crazy. But yeah, Colorado plus 1.5 runs. Maybe it might be plus 2.5. I don't know. Whatever you can find out there. Maybe that's an approach in that game. Probably that would be my best opinion, though, in that game. I don't want to actually do it. Implants are just as bad as AI, man. They're completely fake. I'm not dealing with any of that. That woman is also completely evil. I'm done with all that shit. I'm done with it. I'm done with the op that is Nick Fuentes. I'm done with all of it. Fuck him. Fuck Amy Acton. I don't like Vivek at all either. You cannot vote for either of those people. You cannot support either of those people. That's it. I'm done with it. Washington at Cincinnati. Cincinnati just won 2 games in a row against Houston. They're staying at home. Neither of these teams played yesterday, so we have rested bullpens, but these are also bad bullpens. Washington is traveling in from Miami. They just lost 2 games against Miami. The spot isn't necessarily that good or bad for either team, I would say. Cincinnati may be a little bit more of a letdown spot, but beating Houston's not that big of a deal. Washington coming off some divisional games, although they did lose them. Could go either way. Could be bounce back for them. Could be, why am I looking at that? We know the bullpens did not pitch yesterday, which should save me some time in analyzing this shit. Washington's 23rd in bullpen. That's not good. Cincinnati is 28th, although their ERA is a little bit better, but these are not bullpens that can be trusted. Washington's hit pretty well this year. They're at 8th. Cincinnati has not. They are 23rd. This is a hitter-friendly ballpark, though, and the pitching matchup looks pretty conducive to runs to me here. Miles Mikolas is pitching for the Nats. He has not been good. 7.44 ERA, 1.53 whip. Probably about time for this guy to, pack it in. He's already, he can go back to his home state of Florida and just retire and live nicely. He's been a little bit better on the road, believe it or not. 6.75 road ERA. Washington has had horrible pitching at home. Mikolas actually was serviceable enough in his last outing against Minnesota. They put up a ton of runs behind him, and they won the game. We had an over in that game, and it did hit, mostly because Washington's offense totally exploded. Mikolas, he hasn't given up that many runs, but he's also failed to go 5 innings in all but 2 of his outings, including that Minnesota one. So that's not good. He's not going deep into games, not striking guys out, 22 strikeouts, 11 walks, 9 home runs allowed is really bad, but 4 of them came in one outing against the Dodgers. I believe he might have had one. I think Mikolas gave up like 6 in one outing last year against the Cubs, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe I'm wrong about that. I seem to remember something like that happening. 39 hits allowed in 32 and 2/3 innings. Yeah, he's been too hittable. His walk rate is too high. His strikeout rate is low. He allows a lot of home runs. There's nothing to really like here. Numbers against Cincinnati, also bad. Plus, they're really familiar with him because he was on St. Louis for a while. 123 at-bats against them. 18-4 strikeout walk ratio is good. 341 batting average allowed. 953 OPS, not good. Mikolas definitely could get blown up in this game for sure. Brady Singer is pitching for the Reds. He is not having a good season either. 5.63 ERA, 1.64 whip. However, he has actually been good at home. I don't know why that's the case, but it was also the case last year. It's a hitter-friendly ballpark, but for whatever reason, he pitches better at home. 3.52 home ERA. He is also originally from Florida, by the way. The 2 Florida men are battling in this game here. But, Singer, my instinct was to fade both pitchers here. I do lean over in this game, but I worry about a couple of things. Rested bullpens, although, the bullpens are so bad, you could probably still fade them. But Singer is good at home, so that gives me some pause here. Still hasn't really been that good recently, but both those games are on the road. He did go 6 innings last time out against the Cubs, had 6 strikeouts, 1 walk, gave up 4 earned runs, but that really was not that bad of an outing. His strikeout rate is low, though. 26 strikeouts, 38 1/3 innings, 10 walks, 53 hits allowed is way too many. So his numbers actually are pretty similar to Mikolas' numbers here. Not good. Singer against Washington is actually not too bad. 13 at-bats. They haven't really faced him that much. 3.2 strikeout walk ratio, 231 average allowed, 795 OPS. Singer was in the American League with the Royals for a while, so the National League offenses aren't as familiar with him in a lot of these cases. That OPS is still a bit high, though. I'm going to still lean over. This one is probably one of the better ones for me. The money is agreeing with that. The total's sitting at 10, though. Obviously the odds makers are putting it at 10 for a reason. It's a really, really high total, but it is, again, that high because the odds makers know it's a hitter-friendly ballpark. We're looking at bad pitching pretty much throughout this game. I agree with the over. That's how I would play this. 67% of tickets on the under, 62% of the cash on the over. The money is disagreeing with Cincinnati. 81% of tickets, 73% of the cash on them. They're at minus 140 something at most books. I think I lean to Cincinnati slightly, though. Singer is better at home. I think he's better than Mikolas, which isn't saying much, but Cincinnati probably is the better of the 2 bullpens still as well. So those are my thoughts on it, but I think an over makes the most sense in that game. That one is closer to being a play for me. I'll give you that. Over in that game would be the way I would play it. Philadelphia at Boston. The Red Sox, neither of these teams played yesterday either, which again it could cool off the offenses a little bit and whatever. Maybe I'm being too selective because it's almost like when everything doesn't line up for me, I'm just not doing it. But I don't know. The Red Sox just lost at home to Tampa Bay. Red Sox offense is still not doing anything. Their bullpen is the better bullpen here, so at least there's that. 7th, Red Sox in bullpen. Philadelphia, 15th. Their bullpen has been pitching a little bit better recently. They're not horrible. Hitting-wise, neither team has actually really been very good. Red Sox, 27th. Philly is up to 18th, and I told you they would turn it around. I still think the Red Sox have a better offense than what they've shown so far. This pitching matchup, though, Zach Wheeler is pitching for Philadelphia, so I'm not really expecting the Red Sox to put up a lot of offense in this one. Wheeler is back. He's made 3 starts since coming back from injury. He looks pretty much like himself as far as I can tell. He's been good. 3.12 ERA, 0.98 whip. He's been better on the road as well, 2.45 ERA, but very small sample so far. He's made 3 starts so far. He's gone a little bit deeper into each one. He's allowed 3 or fewer earned runs in all 3 of them. He's been good. 18 strikeouts, 6 walks, 11 hits allowed in 17 and 3rd innings. All those numbers are pretty good. Against the Red Sox, he also has pretty good numbers in his history. 63 at-bats, 17 strikeouts, 2 walks. Really good ratio there. 238 batting average allowed, 674 OPS. Even Contreras, who was in the National League for a while, has a lot of at-bats against him, has not done well against him, even though he does have a home run against him. I think Contreras might actually be hurt right now, too, although he's still listed as active for the Red Sox. The Red Sox have undecided as their starting pitcher listing, but that's because it's Brian Bayo, who is scheduled to start. We need Garrett Crochet to come back, man, and just bounce Bayo out of the rotation. Although Bayo is likely going to pitch in this game. He might come in after an opener, though. So if you're going to handicap this game like Bayo is going to pitch basically a starter's workload here, you can go action on this because it's just not definitive he's going to start this game. But I'm pretty sure he is going to pitch at least 4 or 5 innings in this game, depending on how he does. His numbers have been awful, though. 7.44 ERA, 1.93 whip. He's been really bad at home as well, 8.59 home ERA. But his last outing was like the first one where they put an opener in front of him, and he went 7 innings. He gave up 1 earned run at Detroit, and Detroit is a decent offense. So I don't know, man. I think it's a mental thing with him. Maybe putting an opener in front of him takes the pressure off him, comes in there. I think he came into that game with the Red Sox already having a lead, though, although I think it was 3-2 at the time. I don't know, but he did pitch well. He gave up 1 earned run, 7 strikeouts, 1 walk. That was easily his best outing of the season, but overall his numbers blow. 24-16 strikeout walk ratio, 8 home runs allowed, and 47 hits allowed in 32 2/3 innings. Yeah, I just don't trust it, man. Bayo, this is assuming he is pitching in this game, which I think is probably a valid assumption. Garcia is the only hitter that Philly has who's faced him because he was on Texas, so he was in the AL. Garcia's only 1 for 11 off Bayo, though, but his 1 hit is a home run, 2 walks, 4 strikeouts. I don't know, man. Yeah, I'm not talking politics on this show. This is not a political show. I'm not going to do it. Anyway, yeah, I mean, this game, yeah, I would probably lean to Philadelphia here, but, I don't have a good read on it. The money is all coming in on the Red Sox, which seems kind of insane. Maybe because of the price. Philadelphia's -140. You pretty much know you're going to pay a little bit of a premium with Wheeler on the mound, but Philadelphia hasn't been playing that well, so I think this line is not really that high. 66% of tickets on Philly, 70% of the cash on the Red Sox. Whatever. I hope the Red Sox win, but it is what it is. I don't like the pitching matchup here. I would lean to Philadelphia. Maybe first 5 because the Red Sox bullpen is the better one, but they're not really that much better either, so I don't know. Philadelphia first 5, you probably have to pay a little bit more. You could go -0.5 run, Philly first 5 innings. Tampa Bay at Toronto. These teams did play yesterday. Tampa Bay won the game 8-5, so Rasmussen again got the better of Gaussman in that game. I did tell you that Rasmussen had the better matchup numbers. So I didn't really love it as much with him being the road pitcher, but Tampa Bay still got the win, and they put up some runs in that one. Tampa Bay, 3 relief pitchers used yesterday. Toronto used 4. The bullpens, Tampa Bay has been pitching a lot better out of the bullpen recently. They're 10th in bullpen. Toronto is 12th, which isn't too bad, but yes, I think Tampa is the better of the two. Offensively, Tampa's been better as well, a little bit. 17th, Toronto 21st. Shane McClanahan is pitching for Tampa, and just on the surface, Tampa Bay, it looks pretty clear that Tampa has a starting pitching edge in this game with McClanahan against Corbin. So that would mean that Tampa has the better starting pitcher, the better bullpen, the better offense. But it is a bounce-back spot for Toronto, and you look at the matchup numbers, and I'm not quite so sure that I love it. McClanahan has a 2.6 ERA, 1.07 whip. He's been good. He's bouncing back pretty well from injury. He's coming back from, I think, at least one entire season, missed 2, actually. He missed 2 entire seasons. He was really good before his injury, and he started to pitch similarly to that again, but he's on the road here, and he's been really bad on the road so far. 5.14 road ERA. That worries me. He did just pitch pretty well against Toronto in his last outing, but that does mean Toronto did just see him, and I don't know how much they have seen of him. I mean, I do, but I forget because I look at these numbers right before I do the show. He went 5 2/3 innings in that one and shut Toronto out, but he didn't really go that deep into the game. Tampa Bay, I mean, they really, they try to not overwork their pitchers, so they keep their pitchers pretty much on a pitch count, especially with a guy coming back from injury, which kind of makes sense. But his overall numbers are pretty good. 34 strikeouts, 14 walks isn't that great, but 23 hits allowed, 34 2/3 innings, only 1 home run allowed. Those numbers are all pretty good for the most part. His numbers against Toronto, they have actually seen a lot of him, so I don't think that the fact that Toronto did just see him, I don't think that's going to help them that much because they do have 82 at-bats against him, 19 strikeouts, 6 walks. His numbers are not horrible against him, but they're not great either. 256 average allowed, 721 OPS allowed. They're, decent, but not terrific. So I don't know, man. I mean, you would want to see McClanahan be a little bit more dominant, I think, if you want to back him here. But Patrick Corbin, I don't think he's good. But his numbers this year haven't been that bad. He is pitching for Toronto here. 3.6 ERA, 1.27 whip. He's been really bad at home. 6.23 ERA. So both these pitchers are on the bad end of their home road splits this season, but it is a very small sample size. Corbin has been okay this month. He's allowed 2 earned runs in 5 1/3 innings in each of his starts this month. Decent enough that he's holding his team in the game. Still, 5 strikeouts, 3 walks is not very impressive. He's got a 21-9 strikeout walk ratio overall this season. Not a high strikeout rate. The number of walks isn't terrific, really. But it's not. It could be worse. 29 hits allowed in 30 innings. Yeah, I mean, he's not a strikeout pitcher, really. Overall, his numbers aren't that bad, though. And he has not been great against Tampa, but not horrible either. Which it makes it difficult, man, when you have 2 starting pitchers that are, not on one extreme. I like to see a pitcher that's on the extreme. Either they dominate this team or they do horrible against them. He's got 65 at-bats against Tampa, 6.6 strikeout walk ratio, 292 batting average is not very good, but a 730 OPS allowed is not horrible. Most of the hits have been singles, and he hasn't allowed any home runs to them. So even though those are kind of fluky, I don't know, man. I mean, this is a game. Yeah, I just don't want to do anything with it. The money is coming in on Toronto. I wouldn't want to do it. I would not. 64% of the tickets on Tampa. I sound like The Room right now. Tommy Wiseau, whatever the hell his name is. I am not. I would not. 64% of tickets on Tampa. 73% of the cash on Toronto. Tampa Bay is favored around minus 120 something here. I think I still lean to Tampa Bay. I think the matchup is in support of them throughout the game pretty much, but it's not a big enough advantage that I want to lay them as a road favorite there. And, it is bounce back for Toronto, a bounce back spot potentially. Plus, the money is indicating on Toronto, which, I don't read into that too much. Sometimes I will fade it, but You know, I don't want to deal with it. Yes. Oh, hi, Mark. I could use that as a drop for, I don't know, if I'm talking about somebody named Mark. I don't know. There aren't that many Marks out there that I seem to talk about on the show, though. I don't know. I can't even think of one that I would talk about offhand here. There have got to be some out there, though. There's got to be some pitcher named Mark. Detroit, there's Mark Leiter, but he's a relief pitcher somewhere. Is he on the Yankees still? I don't know. No, I think he's somewhere else. I don't even know. Detroit at the Mets. Now, I look at this, and I'm like, okay, yeah, here we go. The Mets are returning home from a 3-series road trip where they went to Anaheim, Colorado, into elevation there. They went to Arizona. Now they're back home, and yes, both teams had a day off. They didn't play yesterday, but long road trip return. You know I talk about it all the time. Also, a Mets team that's not playing well. My initial reaction is I want to fade that team because they're returning home. They have to get back to home life. They've been away for a long time. It's a bad spot. Okay, so that makes me want to fade the Mets here. But then I look at the starting pitching, and I'm like, I can't do it, man. I can't put my money on the clearly worst of the two starting pitchers. I just can't do it. So I'm not going to. Both bullpens are rested at least here. The Mets, I mean, they haven't been that bad in the bullpen department. That's been one of the things that they haven't been that bad at. They're 11th in bullpen. Detroit hasn't been too bad at 20th. Their ERA is below 4, so not horrible. Also, both teams have their choice of any relievers they want to use today. Mets are still dead last in offense at 30th. Things have not been turning around. Detroit, significantly better on offense. They're 10th right now, but they're better at home usually than on the road. And I cannot put my money on Jack Flaherty. I just can't do it. He's been bad. 5.56 ERA, 1.56 whip. He's been a little bit better on the road, 5.28 ERA, but still pretty bad. He did strike out 10 guys in his last outing, which was against the Red Sox. But Red Sox can't hit, man. And somehow Detroit lost that game. They had no run support behind him. But that looked like more of an outlier to me. I mean, if you look at the rest of his numbers, not very good, even though he does now have 42 strikeouts in 34 innings, which is pretty good. But he has 26 walks, man. 30 hits allowed isn't even that bad, but the walk number is outrageously high. And yes, he only walked one guy against the Red Sox, but that was the only start he's made all season where he's walked fewer than 2. And he's walked 3 or more in all but 2 outings. So, you know, I don't know how much weight to put into that. The Red Sox, not a good offense. He was bad against the Red Sox in his other outing. Is he starting to pitch better? Maybe, but I can't really, I can't bank on that being the case. He's been so bad this year. There's no way I could do it. Against the Mets, his numbers are not great. They're not horrible. 59 at-bats, 15 to 11 strikeout walk ratio, 254 batting average allowed, 744 OPS. Those are not horrible numbers, but I think Flaherty is pretty unbackable, man. And he is going up against Freddie Peralta, who is clearly the better of the two pitchers here. Pitching for the Mets, 3.12 ERA for him, 1.2 whip. He's been a little bit worse at home, though, 3.62 home ERA, which is still a lot better than Flaherty's road ERA, though. Peralta, I mean, he's been walking too many guys. That has been his issue. His walk number is just usually a little bit too high, but nothing crazy. More worrisome, perhaps, is he only had 1 strikeout in his last outing against Colorado, so he wasn't fooling guys. Had more walks than strikeouts, 2 walks. But he shut them out for 5 innings. It was in Coors Field, so I don't know. Maybe you give him a pass for that. Generally, he's been good. He's allowed 3 or fewer earned runs in every outing except one, which was the first one against Pittsburgh. And they've been a decent offense this year. 43 to 18 strikeout walk ratio. Again, the walks are too high, but the rest of his numbers are pretty good. 34 hits allowed, 43 and a third innings pitched. Peralta against, who were we even talking? Detroit. I always forget which team I'm even talking about here. ESPN, it pisses me off, dude. Just update your shit and switch this selection here. He's got 27 at-bats against Detroit. He's been good. I mean, this is not something that I want to fade. 7 to 3 strikeout walk ratio is not good, but a 148 average allowed, 419 OPS allowed. I'm not fading that. So, the spot is really, really bad for the Mets, though. Like, if you forced me to give you a pick on this game, I would say Detroit, but I can't do it, man. The Mets have the better bullpen, too, plus the better starting pitcher, and he has good matchup numbers here. So, yeah, I can't do it. I'll slightly lean that way because I think the situation in this case might win out, but, yeah, I'm not doing it. Minus 140 something is the price on the Mets. And, yeah, I mean, you could definitely make the argument the Mets shouldn't be favored by that much because they've been so bad this year. Like, for what reason would they be favored this significantly? Even though, yes, I know Peralta is significantly better than Flaherty. So, yes, the Mets do deserve to be favored here, but minus 140, minus 150 range seems a little crazy, which I think is also probably why some of the money's coming in on Detroit. So you do get a decent underdog price there. You could even split it and do a split plus 1.5 run line and the rest on the money line, or just go straight up money line. I still don't want to do it. I'm not backing Flaherty, but Mark McGwire, yeah, the better era, man, the steroid era. Michael, what's up? Thanks for hanging out. I have to go get my mail, man. It's thank you for sending me that. I'm assuming it's here, but I have not gotten my mail yet. Getting the mail is a chore, man. I might do it today because I have to bring a bunch of shit out. I have a lot of boxes and stuff that I have to bring out to the trash, but I've been getting too much stuff shipped in. But I hurt my wrist bringing all the stuff in yesterday, so I have not been able to remove the boxes yet. My wrist is all fucked up. And this is the one that I had the radius and ulna both snap when a kid named Carmine dropped me back when I was 38 pounds. I told you guys that back in whatever it was, second grade or whatever. Yeah, the year before I broke this other arm in an escalator. Yeah, but this break was worse, and it didn't heal right. So I rotate my wrist. I still feel the bones clicking, and now the wrist is injured again. So I don't know what I'm going to do, man. I could go get my mail, though. But, getting the mail, it's, my mailbox is, it's kind of out and, like, around the corner. So I don't know. I have not gone out to do it. All right, Cubs at Atlanta. This is a good series, man. This is probably the best series that's going on right now. We have two of the top teams in baseball here. A National League powerhouse battle here. There is a situational angle to this. Atlanta's returning home from a road trip, so I talk about that. They went to Colorado, Seattle, and LA to the Dodgers. So Atlanta's returning home from a 3-series road trip, so they've been away for a long time. They're returning home. They got to get back to home life. They could be in a letdown spot because they just beat the Dodgers twice, 7-2, winning that weekend series after losing the first game. Huge wins against the Dodgers, man. So it could be a letdown, plus it's a distraction spot, returning home from the road. So I would not want to be on Atlanta here. But they're playing the Cubs, so maybe that alleviates the distraction a little bit. Still, I think it's a really bad spot for Atlanta, though. And the Cubs are in the middle of a road trip, and they just got shut out twice to finish their series against Texas. These bullpens did not pitch yesterday. Neither team played yesterday. Also the case with Detroit and the Mets, by the way. I don't know if I clarified that, but yes, these bullpens, the teams didn't play yesterday. None of those teams did. Cubs look like they got to be in a bounce-back spot they have a good offense, and they scored 0 runs over the last 2 games combined. But remember, Texas, they have good pitching, and it's a very, very under-conducive ballpark in Texas. So that's part of the reason why. This game is on TBS because it is a huge game. Now, does that mean that I'm going to give out a play on Chicago? I'm not going to, but I will lean that way. But the starting pitching matchup, I just don't think is quite good enough for it. Although I don't think it's really a huge advantage one way or the other. Like, I think the Mets have, like, a pretty clear edge with the starting pitching here. So that's why I'm not going to fade the Mets. I'm sorry. I'm like, lightheaded here right now. I don't know what's going on. The Cubs are 8th in bullpen whip. That's not bad. Atlanta is first, though. Atlanta's had one of the best bullpens in baseball. So I'll give them a slight edge there. But these bullpens are pretty comparable, and they're both rested. They're both really good offensive teams as well. Atlanta's number 1 right now, and the Cubs are number 4. So these teams, yeah, they're both pretty much powerhouses. They can both match up pretty well. Colin Ray is pitching for the Cubs, though. I mean, he's not necessarily someone I really want to have money on in most cases, although I know this would be a situational play if you do it with the Cubs, and I do still agree with the Cubs in this game. Ray has a 4.03 ERA, 1.37 whip is not really that good. Putting too many guys on base. He's been bad on the road, so that is one problem I have with wanting to back him here is you're going against a pretty significant home road split here. His road ERA is 3 runs higher than his home ERA, 5.6. That's not good. Overall, I mean, he's got all right numbers overall. 35 strikeouts, 12 walks. That's not too bad. 38 at-bats. 40 hits allowed isn't great, but he's been pretty much fine overall. He's allowed 3 or fewer earned runs in all but one outing, but that was a road outing against the Dodgers. So you can make the argument that was the most comparable outing to this one because this is also a road outing against a really good team with a good offense, with one of the top offenses. Ray against the Braves in the past does not have good numbers. So again, these numbers are bad enough that it takes this off the table for me. He's got 49 at-bats against them, a 286 average allowed and 944 OPS. Really, really high. So the Braves have definitely rocked him. 12 strikeouts, 5 walks. But yes, even though the situation is good, this is not something that I can put my money on. So it's unfortunate, but that is the case. Grant Holmes is pitching for the Braves. He is fadeable to me, but again, you just saw the numbers with Ray there, so I just can't do it, man. Holmes has a 4.34 ERA, 1.31 whip, pitching for Atlanta this year. Last year, he was better at home, but this year he's been worse at home, so I don't know what to think about Holmes. His home-road splits seem to have flipped this year, at least so far. He's been bad at home, 5.4 ERA, so both pitchers are in the bad of their home-road splits. He just pitched in Colorado, didn't really do that well there. Maybe you give him a pass because it is Coors Field. Overall, he's been better than that. He's allowed 3 or fewer earned runs in all the rest of his outings, but not going too deep into a lot of these outings. He faced a decent number of fairly weak offenses in here, so, the Cubs are going to be the best offense that he's faced so far, so he might struggle here. He's got 29 strikeouts, 17 walks on the season. That's not a good ratio. His strikeout rate is pretty low as well. I think last year it was a lot higher than that. He's pitched 37 1/3 innings, 32 hits allowed. He's also allowed 6 home runs, which isn't great. The hits are not bad, but the amount of home runs is not good. The amount of walks is really bad. So, yeah, I don't know. Holmes, he is fadeable, like I said, but I can't really back Ray either. Holmes doesn't have a whole lot of history against the Cubs. They only have 7 at-bats against him. Only Bregman and Conforto have ever faced him before. Conforto has dominated him, though. He is 3 for 5 with a double off him and 3 walks. Overall, they have a combined 4 walks, 2 strikeouts against him, and are 3 for 7 with that double. But there's not a whole lot that you can really read into it, those numbers, because it's such a small sample. We just know that he doesn't do well against Conforto. Yeah, I mean, it's a game. I'm going to pass on the game, but I'm going to lean to the Cubs here. Ray just has really, really bad matchup numbers, though the money seems to be kind of indicating on Atlanta. Obviously, based on the situation, I would not agree with that, and I don't think Holmes is very backable in this game either. 78% of tickets, 91% of the cash on Atlanta. They're around minus 115 or so here. I would lean to the Cubs, though, as the underdog. I think it's a much better situation, at least for them. Money seems to be indicating on the over, and I kind of agree. 78% of tickets, 61% of the cash on the under. But you just saw, it looks like these guys don't have a good matchup here. It looks like both starting pitchers, they're on the wrong end of their home road splits, and they don't have particularly good matchups. But the bullpens could hurt us there if they come out and pitch well. I never really go over in the first 5 innings because I'm of the opinion that if the starting pitching starts out badly, that the worst relievers start coming into the game, and it just doesn't really matter. Like, the bullpens just can't save it. But I don't know, man. And then these offenses could definitely hit, but they both were off yesterday, so the offenses could be a little bit cold. We know the Cubs offense has been struggling recently. I mean, another way to play this is to go over the Cubs team total. You could do that. Like, that would be a way to get your money on the Cubs without having to play them to win the game. You could go Cubs over their team total to at least score some runs here. But then again, I don't really love offenses coming off a layoff because I think they could be a little bit cold to start the game. But it is possible the Cubs are able to score against Holmes. But then again, they do have to go up against the Atlanta bullpen as well. So I don't know. I just don't really see an approach that I love there. But still probably my preferred approach in that game is still probably to play the Cubs money line, though, and just, make it simple. All right. The next game is Kansas City at the White Sox. Kansas City played the Sunday night game, but we don't have a Monday game here, so I don't think it matters that much that they play the night game now that they have a day off. The White Sox were also off yesterday, so we also have rested bullpens here. The White Sox are staying at home, but they're coming off beating the Mariners. So, maybe the White Sox will feel a little bit good about themselves after beating the Mariners, which I think could set them up for maybe a letdown here, but maybe not because Kansas City's been playing better, and this is a divisional matchup. The teams are tied right now in the atrocious AL Central, where the only team above 500 is Cleveland. Ugh, God. Actually, sorry, the White Sox are a half game above Kansas City. My mistake. Kansas City did just lose their last game to Detroit. Now they're starting a road trip. Usually starting a road trip is a focus spot. But, you could make the argument both teams are going to show up here because this is a divisional series. So both bullpens have been bad. White Sox are 25th, Kansas City 26th. So these are bullpens. They're rested, but you can fade these bullpens. Both teams have actually been hitting pretty well, which is not really expected. Did not see that last year from these teams. White Sox are up to 11th in offense. Royals are 12th. So these teams could definitely hit. And we know that, I was thinking we're in Kansas City. We're not. We're in the south side of Chicago for this game here. Stephen Kolek is going to make the start for the Royals. He's got a 4.5 ERA so far. It's in a small sample so far. While that doesn't look that good, his whip is really good at .67, so he has not put a lot of guys on base. But he's only made one start so far, so you can't really put much weight into that. It was a home game against Cleveland. He did do well. He went 6 innings, allowed 3 earned runs, 3 strikeouts, no walks, 4 hits allowed. It was a good outing, but Cleveland, not a very good offense. The White Sox are a little bit of a step up from Cleveland, which sounds hilarious, but that is true. Now, Kolek, last year he had kind of interesting splits, I think. Yeah, he was bad at home last year for whatever that's worth. He was good on the road, though, 2.36 road ERA. And it's even weirder because he pitched most of the season with San Diego. So it's very, very strange that in San Diego's ballpark, he pitched that badly in a very pitcher-friendly park. Then he went to Kansas City, which was also a very pitcher-friendly park. I don't know. It's very weird that he pitched better on the road. Kansas City, not a pitcher-friendly park anymore, but we don't care for this game because this is in the White Sox stadium. But Kolek might pitch well because he did pitch well on the road last year. His numbers against the White Sox, only Derek Hill has ever faced him, and he's 0 for 1 off him. No walks, no strikeouts. So Kolek basically is completely unfamiliar to the White Sox, so he might actually pitch well here. Because I talk about this, when a guy is unfamiliar to the opposing lineup, a lot of times the lineup, struggles to get used to the pitcher. Although Kolek, he's 29 years old, so he's not exactly a mystery. He's been around for a while, but the White Sox hitters have not seen him in a live game environment before. Eric Fedde is pitching for the White Sox. He's actually been all right this year. 3.79 ERA, 1.13 whip. He's been pretty good at home, 2.41 ERA. So, Fedde, he was a complete fade for me last year, and this year he's not. Although he didn't do well in his last outing. He was at Anaheim, but Anaheim had just faced him in the prior start. So I think Anaheim maybe made adjustments to him and hit him a lot better in Anaheim's home stadium. That looks like more of a fluke to me for now, though, because he's allowed 3 or fewer earned runs in all the rest of his outings. But you look at his overall numbers, they're not that good. 24 strikeouts in 38 innings. He doesn't strike a lot of guys out. He has 13 walks, which is, it's mediocre. He has a few starts where he definitely walked too many, but it's not awful. And then he has 30 hits allowed, which is pretty good. So, yeah, Fedde seems to have turned it around a bit after he was awful with St. Louis. But he's back with the White Sox where he was earlier in his career, and he is pitching pretty well this year. Against Kansas City, they have 72 career at-bats against him. These numbers are all pretty average. 14-5 strikeout walk ratio, 250 average, an average allowed, and 757 OPS. So there's not a lot that we can take away from that except that Kansas City is very familiar with him, so Kolek does have the unfamiliarity edge, and if you want to put weight into that, I suppose, I guess I would lean slightly towards Kansas City here for that reason. But I don't really want to fade Fedde, and he is pretty good at home this year. And the money is coming in on the White Sox pretty strongly. 60% of tickets on the Royals, 91% of the money on the White Sox. So the market read does say White Sox here. Money also hitting the over pretty strongly with a total of 9.5. So the odds makers are telling you they do think this is going to be a higher scoring game. I'm not so sure about that. I mean, I could see the starting pitching doing decent. If you're going to go over in this game, you definitely have to go full game on it so that you take advantage of two pretty bad bullpens. But I don't really want to do it because the starting pitching is not really conducive to it. I would probably slightly lean Kansas City, but I really don't love it. Yeah, and the money is definitely in disagreement with that. All right. I'm going to be right back. I still haven't gotten to my play. My play is in one of the late games. My only play of the day, and then I'm going to talk about, let me see. Well, we have 6 games left. All right, I'll talk about one more. I'll keep it consistent. Then I'm going to take a break. I'll be back to talk about the rest of these and all the other sports that are going on, including playoffs. Sparrow, what's up? Thanks for hanging out. All right, we have Miami at Minnesota. These teams also did not play yesterday. Yesterday, not a lot of baseball yesterday. There were 6 games. I think I said 5 in the morning, but it was 6. Minnesota is returning home from a road trip. They went to Washington and Cleveland, but the return from Cleveland is not really that bad. Within the division, pretty close geographically, so I'm not as worried about that. But yes, it is still a road trip return. Still a negative when a team returns home from a road trip and they've been gone for like a week. They have to get back to home life. It could be a distraction. Maybe they don't pay attention to an interleague series against Miami. So not a great spot for Minnesota here. Miami probably in the better spot. They're starting a road trip, but they did just win a divisional series against Washington, so you could make the argument it's a letdown spot, but usually when a team starts a road trip, they want to get it off on the right foot, so usually you get more focus out of them. So the situation, to me, favors Miami here. As far as the bullpens, they're both rested. Minnesota's bullpen is absolutely horrible. They're second to last only because Houston is just that bad. Minnesota's almost that bad, though. They're really, really bad in the bullpen. 29th, and Miami's been good, 5th. So Miami has a huge bullpen advantage here. Although both bullpens are rested, which, does mean Minnesota at least has, they could use their better relievers. I don't know if that's really going to help them, though. Miami has fallen off a bit on the offensive end of things. They're 16th now. Minnesota 13th. So Minnesota has hit a little bit better, but the bullpen edge is huge for Miami. Generally, I think I prefer Miami's starter here, like Yuri Perez against Bailey Ober. I think Yuri Perez has way higher upside. He's a much younger pitcher, man, with a lot of talent, but I think he's already had like multiple Tommy John surgeries and he's only 23. And he's been pretty erratic this year. He hasn't pitched that well. 5.01 ERA, 1.43 whip. He is wild, man, really wild. And he's been bad on the road, so I think he's pretty unbackable here. 7.43 road ERA, that's not good. His 2 outings this month, he has a 12-7 strikeout walk ratio. His team lost both games. He lost both of them. He went 5 innings in each of them, but he did allow 5 earned runs and 5 walks in the last one against Baltimore. That's not good. It's kind of a microcosm of what he's done all season. He's got 45 strikeouts in 41 1/3 innings, which is a pretty good rate, but 21 walks is insane. He's allowed 38 hits, which is not too bad. He's hard to hit, but he's wild. Like I said, he walks a ton of guys, and he's allowed some power hitting as well, 7 home runs, which isn't that great. Perez, his main issue, though, is he needs to figure out how to control himself as far as the walks, man. That is the big concern with him. He's definitely capable of pitching well. He's capable of striking out a lot of guys at the major league level, man. Minnesota does not have good numbers off him either. He's got 21 career at-bats against them. They only have 2 hits, 1 extra base hit, a double from Larnach. They have 7 strikeouts, no walks, 0.95 average against him, 238 OPS. It's a small sample, but Perez has dominated the Twins, so he is definitely capable of pitching well here. I worry about his road splits being significantly bad, though. Like, he is really bad on the road. That worries me. just how wild he's been worries me. Bailey Ober is pitching for the Twins. I think he's been the more consistent pitcher this year, though, even though I don't think he's the better of the two pitchers. 4.19 ERA from him, 1.19 whip, not bad. He's been good at home, so the home road splits favor Ober here. 3.21 home ERA, pretty good. He wasn't good in his last outing. Of course, it was on the road at Washington. They can hit pretty well. That was the game where we won on the over in that game. Minnesota's bullpen gave up 10 runs in that game. That bullpen is atrocious, dude. Ober was, not horrible in the game, but he went 5 innings, gave up 5 earned runs. It was his worst start of the season. His overall numbers are not too bad, but his walk number is kind of concerning. 32 strikeouts in 43 innings. He doesn't strike out a lot of guys. He's only allowed 36 hits, which is pretty good, but 15 walks is kind of a problem. So you'd like to see him get that under control a bit more. And throughout his career, he really hasn't had that many issues with the walk. Like, his problem is usually that he's too hittable. So he seems to have changed some things up, although it seems like he has generally kind of improved a little bit. I don't know, man. He's a very, very streaky pitcher, though. Like, sometimes he looks really good for long stretches, and then sometimes he looks really bad for long stretches. His numbers against Miami, they do not have a lot of experience against him. 13 at-bats, 231 average allowed, 641 OPS, 4-2 strikeout walk ratio, and they only have 1 extra base hit, a double from Xavier Edwards. All right, I keep saying Xavier, like the, maybe it is, I don't know, like the, basketball school. All right. Yeah, this game is very unpredictable, man. I don't like the situation for Minnesota, like I said. The money is indicating on Miami. I think Miami definitely has a huge bullpen edge. So if you go with Miami, obviously you got to go full game money line on that to get the bullpen advantage. 57% of tickets, 94% of the cash on Miami. I probably agree with Miami, but the home road splits are very much against their starting pitching here. Money is coming in a little bit on the over as well. Minnesota, by the way, is about a -110 favorite. It's basically around a pick-the-winner price. You might be able to find Miami at a slight dog price there. Minnesota, I mean, I don't know. You can make the argument for Minnesota in the first 5 innings because Ober has the better matchup stats. But again, Perez has the better matchup stats. They both have good matchup stats, but Ober has the better home road splits. My mistake. But, to me, a first 5 under actually makes some sense in this game to me. I think because both pitchers actually have good matchup numbers here, I could see both pitchers pitching well enough to get that thing under. I wouldn't go full game because, as you know, Minnesota's bullpen can completely implode that on you. So I'd want to avoid that, even though Miami's bullpen is quite good. So that's what I think about the game. I would overall lean to Miami full game. And I think first 5 under makes the most sense as far as a total in that game. The total is 9 for the full game, juiced to the under. All right, so first 5, you're probably looking at 4.5 there or something like that. All right, I'm going to be right back, and then we'll finish this off. We don't have too many games left, only 5 of them. So if you can guess which game is the play for me. I'm trying to get all the remaining games I haven't talked about in view here, which I can't quite do it, but whatever. All right, I'll be right back. All right. remaining games here. Let's zoom back in here. All right. We have Arizona. San Diego and Milwaukee. Milwaukee is staying at home, but they did just sweep the Yankees, which was a pretty good series for them. Possible letdown for Milwaukee after that, although they've been playing pretty well, but that was a good series for them. San Diego coming in off of winning the last 2 games to split the series with St. Louis, starting a road trip. Usually a team starting a road trip is focused. San Diego probably feels pretty good right now, though, because they did wind up ahead of the Dodgers for now, although they're clearly not better than the Dodgers. But for now, they have a half-game lead over them in the division. I think San Diego, not as good as their record looks. And the odds makers are telling you that. The odds makers are favoring Milwaukee here a little bit more than what the home field advantage would give them. So, yeah, I agree Milwaukee's the better team, but I don't really want Milwaukee off of that big series with the Yankees. Bullpen-wise, San Diego is back where you would think they would be. They're third in bullpen. Definitely one of the best bullpens. Milwaukee has been okay in the bullpen. They are 17th right now. And both bullpens are rested. Neither team played yesterday. San Diego has been pretty weak offensively, 27th. Not good. And the Brewers haven't been that good either, 23rd. I think they're starting to get maybe a little bit healthier. The starting pitching matchup in this game is pretty interesting. Matt Waldron is pitching for San Diego. He's been pretty bad this year, but he's a knuckleball pitcher, so he's very hard to predict. 7.71 ERA, 1.55 whip. I think he's the only knuckleball pitcher in baseball at this point. He's been bad on the road, 8.56 road ERA. Kind of makes sense that he'd be better at home in a pitcher-friendly ballpark, especially because the knuckleball induces more fly balls. But he did pitch really well in his last outing against San Francisco. He was very good. Went 5 innings, 7 strikeouts, no walks for a knuckleballer. It's pretty wild, or is the opposite of wild. He gave up 1 earned run on a home run, of course, on 2 hits. San Francisco is a very bad offense, though. But still, I mean, he seems to be trending in the right direction. His last 2 starts have both been okay, and one of them was against the Cubs. He's overall got a 15.5 strikeout walk ratio, which is not too bad. 24 hits allowed in 18 2/3 innings is too many. But Waldron, I don't think he's as bad as his numbers look. Like, if you look at his career numbers, they're like exactly what you would expect for a knuckleballer, like mediocre across the board numbers, you know. So I think he is better than these numbers would suggest. And Milwaukee, I believe, has very little experience against them. Yeah, only Hamilton, former Red Sox player, I believe, and Rengifo. Those are the only guys that have ever faced him before. And Rengifo, as a single, they're combined 1 for 6 off him. No strikeouts, no walks. Because they're not used to facing the knuckleball. They haven't seen this guy really before. So Matt Waldron might actually do okay here in this game. Brandon Sproat is pitching for Milwaukee. He has not been good. 5.87 ERA, 1.53 whip. He's been bad at home, 6.62 home ERA. Don't like that. He was okay in his last outing. He only went 4 innings, though. I think he might have pitched out of the bullpen against St. Louis. He hit them and shut them out, though. But had 5 strikeouts, 3 walks. Wasn't good, though. Sproat, I mean, overall his numbers are not good. 30 strikeouts, 18 walks. That's not good. 29 hits allowed in 30 2/3 innings. It looks like he is getting the start here. Don't really know how deep he's going to go in this game. I probably prefer Waldron over him, man, so I think I do lean to San Diego here. Sproat against San Diego, though, he is unfamiliar to them, so maybe he does have a little bit of an edge there where they haven't seen him before, so a lot of unfamiliarity here with these pitchers, so San Diego might not hit him well. I am going to lean San Diego here, though. I think I prefer Waldron over Sproat. I prefer the situation a little bit more. This is not my play, though. I mean, I think it's a little bit too unpredictable for me, but 50% of tickets, 65% of the cash on San Diego. I agree with that. The market seems to agree on that one. Milwaukee's at about minus 125 or so here. So you can get San Diego at an underdog price. San Diego will have a bullpen edge in that game as well. So full game, San Diego makes some sense to me. And under makes sense as well. To me, the total's at 8.5. It's pretty juiced on the over there. I don't know if we're really going to see a 9, though. although it looks like it opened at 9, but it was fairly heavily juiced to the under. 60% of tickets, 95% of the cash on the under. I mean, nobody's going to want to play an under in this game, like from the public perspective. Like, why would they with these two pitchers that have really bad numbers? And I think they both might have a little bit of a hidden edge here, enough so that they can pitch okay, and then we have decent bullpens that are rested. The offenses have both struggled this year too, so there are some things that line up for an under in that game, but that's not really something I want to do either. So I'm staying off the game, but that's what I think about it. Arizona at Texas. Texas, these teams did play yesterday, and I told you I thought Texas was in a bit of a letdown after beating the Cubs twice, and Arizona won 1-0 in that game yesterday. Surprising that Arizona only gives up 1 run, but it's the Texas factor, man. Texas at home. The books can't possibly put the total low enough in these Texas games, man. Like, they're averaging like 5.5 games per game at home now, like total. Texas has allowed the fewest runs in baseball as a home team, and they've also scored the fewest runs in baseball as a home team. The unders are some ridiculous clip in Texas home games, like 14-2-2 or something like that now. Absolutely ridiculous. I still don't like Arizona's bullpen. They used 3 relief pitchers yesterday. I do like Texas's bullpen, and they used a lot. They used 5 relief pitchers yesterday. That's not great. So Texas, I don't know what happened, because I think Eovaldi pitched that game yesterday, right? Maybe I'm wrong about that. I don't know what was going on there. He looks like maybe he got hurt. That wouldn't be good. Unless, was this an extra inning game? No, it wasn't. Yeah, I don't know what the hell happened in that game. Anyway, yeah, very, very weird. I forget what I was about to say. Oh, yeah, the bullpens. Texas, I think they are the better bullpen. They're ranked 4th. Arizona's ranked 2nd, yet their ERA is almost 2 runs worse than Texas's. Yeah, no. I don't think Arizona's bullpen is that good. I have no idea how their whip is that low. They must have allowed a lot. Yeah, they've allowed a lot of home runs, 17 home runs. So, yeah, Texas is the better bullpen. We'll leave it at that. Although Texas is a little bit unrested, though, so that does kind of negate that. Neither team has really hit that well this year, as we saw last night. Arizona 23rd, Texas 26th. So we're looking at 2 offenses that have struggled. Zach Gallen is pitching for Arizona, though. I mean, the starting pitching in this game, might be more run conducive. Like, this is not a Texas game where I particularly like the under. Let's just put it that way. Gallen hasn't been that good for the D-backs. 4.7 ERA. 1.49 whip is really bad. You can't put 1.5 guys on base an inning. He's got an awful road ERA, 7.13. But he's pitching in a pitcher-friendly ballpark here, so maybe he won't do that bad. But he has been bad on the road, so that doesn't look great. 25-12 strikeout walk ratio is not impressive. 45 hits allowed in 38 1/3 innings. That's not good. It's too many hits. The walk number's not that great. It's a low strikeout rate. Something not right with Gallen, man. I don't know what the deal is. He was a decent pitcher a couple of years ago. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with him, but not great. His numbers against Texas are pretty mediocre. They have a lot of at-bats against him, 120. 32 strikeouts, 10 walks. That's not too bad for him, but 267 average allowed, 740 OPS. Those numbers are right in like the average range there, where neither Gallen nor the offense has an advantage in that matchup, and that's a big sample size. Mackenzie Gore is pitching for Texas. He started to pitch pretty poorly. 5.18 ERA, 1.4 whip. I thought being with Texas would allow him to improve, and he has been better at home still. 3.38 home ERA, so he does pitch well in the stadium. His last couple outings have kind of hurt him, but he's had 4 road starts in his last 5 starts, and one of them was at the A's stadium, which is very difficult to pitch in. One was in the Bronx, and one was at Detroit, and all those teams can hit well too. So, he's been facing a gauntlet recently, so that's affected his numbers as well. Arizona is going to be a step down. He might be able to pitch better against Arizona here because they're not as good of a hitting team as those teams. But then again, his numbers against them are not good. In 38 at-bats, 316 average allowed, 772 OPS, 7-1 strikeout walk ratio is good, but those numbers are not very good. Arenado and Gurriel Jr. both have hit him pretty well. His overall numbers, 48 strikeouts in 40 innings. Yeah, he's striking a lot of guys out, which is good, but his walk number is still a huge concern. 21 walks. So he has not figured it out, man. That's always been his problem, is the walks, and it remains an issue. He's walked 3 guys in each of his last 3 outings. He's only allowed 35 hits in 40 innings, so that's not bad. But, again, the walks, huge issue. I can't do anything with the game. I might lean over in that game. I know Texas has a good bullpen, whatever, but, the unders, every home game for them is not going to be an under, even though it is a very strong trend. But this particular game doesn't look particularly under-worthy to me. The total's at 8. We got 93% of the tickets, 94% of the cash on the under, but I don't know. I could see this one actually going over in this one. Although Gore has been better at home at least, but the matchup numbers don't look good. The money is coming in on Arizona a little bit. I'm not sure I agree with that. 64% of tickets, 68% of the cash on Arizona. I don't know. I think I'd probably still prefer Gore generally over Gallen. Better home road splits. Neither pitcher has great matchup numbers, although Gore's are worse, but not by that much. Texas is about minus 120 something here. I'd probably lean to Texas slightly. Next game up, Seattle at Houston. These teams did play yesterday. Seattle won 3-1. I was correct about Seattle as well. A lot of my leans were correct yesterday, but that's what happens when you're selective and you know what you're doing. You're going to get a lot of things right that you didn't actually have as a play. Seattle used 4 relief pitchers yesterday, which isn't that great. Most of their better relievers, in fact. Their bullpen is the better bullpen here, but they did use 4 relief pitchers yesterday. Houston has the worst bullpen in baseball, though. They only used 2 relief pitchers yesterday, but I'm not even so sure it's going to matter. Houston's bullpen is easily the worst in baseball. Absolutely atrocious. They finally got their ERA below 6. Way to go, Houston. Seattle isn't ranked that well. They're at 16th, but their ERA is 3.31, so they do have one of the best bullpen ERAs. Clearly, Seattle is the better bullpen, even though they're a little bit unrested here. Houston still remains pretty good offensively, 5th. Seattle has not been very good, 20th offensively. We got Brian Wu pitching for Seattle. He pitched well in his last outing after he had 2 really bad outings. Wu is still a really good pitcher, though, in my opinion. 4.02 ERA isn't that great, but a 1 whip is solid. He's been not as good on the road, which is expected. Seattle's pitchers basically all pitch better in their home stadium because it's a pitcher-friendly ballpark. He's got a 4.5 road ERA, but I think he's better than that. He had a 1-hit, 6-inning performance against the Braves last time out with 9 strikeouts, 2 walks. He was excellent in that outing against a good offense. It was at home, but yeah, I think he's back in form after he had 2 weirdly bad outings against St. Louis and Kansas City. That looked fluky to me. I think he's a really good pitcher. We've seen him pitch for years now. We know what he is. Aside from those 2 bad outings, he's allowed 3 or fewer earned runs in all the rest of his outings. He's not really a huge strikeout guy, 38 strikeouts in 47 innings, but he does not put guys on base either. 8 walks is really low. 39 hits allowed, also low. So, yeah, I like Wu. His numbers against Houston are more on the more in the mediocre range, though. 49 at bats. He does have a really good 17-2 strikeout walk ratio against them. 265 average, allowed 723 OPS, though. So, like Kirby last night, he had really, really good numbers against Houston. Wu actually doesn't. So, it's a game I'm going to stay away from, but I do like Wu in general. Seattle has the better bullpen still. I think Wu is better than his counterpart here, Tatsuya Imai, who is a talented pitcher. I mean, he's drawing comparisons to like Tim Lincecum, which makes sense because he's already gone on the injured list. So, yeah, he's definitely Tim Lincecum-esque in the fact that they're both kind of small dudes and they throw hard and they have a really weird, like, jerky arm motion. Also kind of interesting, we have 2 Asian pitchers going up against each other here. The Battle of Asia here. Imai came over from Japan this year for Houston. He hasn't been good, though. I don't think we could trust him right now. 7.27 ERA, 2.08 whip is really bad. He's been bad in this stadium at home, 13.5 ERA. although it was only in one start, so you can't really take a whole lot out of that. I believe Seattle has not faced him yet. Actually, no, I think they did, actually. I'm mistaken. Yeah, he had one start against Seattle, and it was bad. Think about this. Seattle had 2 at-bats against him, yet 7 of their hitters faced him. How is that possible? Well, it's because they had 4 walks against him. And then I think he hit Arozarena with a pitch as well, because he's 0 for 0 with no walks, but he has an RBI. Maybe he reached on an error. Whatever it was, this is bad stuff, man. So overall, yeah, these are awful numbers, but it's a small sample. But most of their lineup did see him once. 500 batting average, 1357 OPS. So we could see that start in the game logs. That was his most recent start at Seattle. He only managed to record 1 out. He gave up a hit, 4 walks, struck out nobody, and 3 earned runs scored. That's bad. He was good in his previous outing, though, at the A's stadium, so you give him credit for that. He shut the A's out in a pretty bad pitching environment. Went 5 2/3 shutout innings there, but his walk number is really bad. So I don't think we could trust him for that reason. His strikeout rate is impressive. Like, the fact that he had no strikeouts in his last start against Seattle, it was only a third of an inning. He still has 13 strikeouts in 8 2/3 innings and 7 hits allowed. Nothing really bad about that. He could strike guys out at the major league level, but the 11 walks is outrageous. So, yeah, he's had no outing where he's walked fewer than 3. He's got to do something about that. And the unfamiliarity edge is kind of gone for him because Seattle has been one of the only teams that's actually faced him before. So I talk about, when a pitcher comes into the majors, they might have a little bit of an advantage when they're unfamiliar to the opposing hitters. But then that second time they see him, they tend to do a lot better. And that's what we get with Seattle here. So I think the only way to really look at this game is to lean towards Seattle. And the money is not agreeing with me. Seattle's in like the minus 150 something range here. It would have to be probably a split run line, money line bet, so I don't really want to do it, but I think Wu is clearly the more stable pitcher right now, the more proven pitcher by far, and then you get Seattle's huge bullpen advantage as well, although it's not quite as huge, again, because they did use 4 guys yesterday, but still, that Houston bullpen's bad. 71% of tickets, 89% of the cash on Houston, though, so the money seems to be leaning towards Houston. One other approach that you could go with is Seattle over their team total. The full game total is 8.5. If you want, Seattle could definitely hit Imai after they've already seen him once. He struggled. Houston's bullpen is awful, so Seattle could definitely score some runs here. So that makes sense to me to do it that way, Seattle over their team total. All right. Dude, I want to get this show done, man. This is bad. The best bet is the next game. I know this seems ugly, and we're going with the pitcher that I don't even think is the better of these 2 pitchers here, but we're going to do it anyway. We're going to take the St. Louis Cardinals, and I know I keep saying they're not as good as their record looks. I know all that. I think that's still the case, but this is where I landed with my only play of the day. The situation lines up. The pitching, believe it or not, lines up well enough for me to give this out as a play. It's a split bet, partially on the plus 1.5 run line at minus 145, and the rest of it plus 135 on the money line. If you want to just go money line, I'm not going to disagree with doing that. If you want to just play the money line just outright, you could do that, and then you have to put less money at risk if you want to do it that way. I'm going to do it this way, so if they lose by 1, it'll be a push for me. It's at a minus 104 price here, and you can see that if this was out of 100, 61.7 of it would be on the minus 145 part of it on the run line here. Even though, he flips his because this Johnny Ma guy, has this calculator set up so that he's assuming the money line is the favorite part of it, but always put the favorite price in this part of it, even if it's not the money line. He's assuming that we're talking about the favorite in the game, but I'm doing it as an underdog this time. So you can see how that works. Basically, if you win the run line part of it, whatever that amount is, you put that amount on the money line, so it would cover that amount of it. So if they lose by 1, in this case, it'll be a push, and you'll get your money back. So that is what we're going to do here. Now, looking at this situation, first of all, the situation is bad for the A's. They were just on the road. They're coming home from the East Coast. They went to Philadelphia and Baltimore. They went 3-3 on the road trip. It was a decent road trip for them. They lost the last game on the road trip, which lost a 3-game win streak for them. So I do think that a lot of times when a team loses a win streak, they'll be hung over into the next game. It wasn't a long win streak, so I'm not too concerned about that, but I think it is still a factor. But the big factor here is the A's are returning home from a long road trip, dude. Or not a long road trip, but a road trip that was a week long at least. Returning cross country, they have to travel across 3 time zones. They have to readjust to the Pacific time zone. They have to get back to home life, which is a distraction on top of all that. I know St. Louis has played pretty well, but, it's an interleague series. I don't know if that's really going to help totally focus the A's here. And the A's, they don't have any home field advantage either, really. You could definitely fade them at home. Their pitching tends to be not very good at home, which is part of this handicap here. It's an interesting way to look at this game, in my opinion. St. Louis, by the way, has been really good on the road, 13-7 on the road. So we have that in our back pocket here, getting them as an underdog. A's only 8-8 at home. And while, yes, I know there's a reason the A's are favored here, that's because their starting pitcher is getting respect in this game. And yes, he is the better starting pitcher, like I said. But I think the matchup and the situation here put us on the other side of this. Even though, yes, I think St. Louis is going to fall off at some point, but not yet. And the situation is a lot better for them because guess who doesn't have to change time zones at all? Yeah, that would be St. Louis. By the way, both these teams did not play yesterday, so they're both rested. But St. Louis just lost 2 games to San Diego, but they're staying in California in the Pacific time zone. So I think that's a huge advantage to them because the A's are having to travel across multiple time zones. So the travel edge for St. Louis is huge, in my opinion, here. So we have that going for us on top of the already bad situation the A's are in. Bullpen-wise, neither bullpen is good. The A's are 24th. St. Louis is 22nd. Neither bullpen is trustworthy, but, going with the situation and whatever, I don't think there's a huge advantage one way or the other. And in fact, St. Louis at least does actually have the slightly better bullpen right now. Hitting-wise, both teams have hit well. The A's are 7th. St. Louis is 15th, but I'm not going to put that much weight into all that. Yeah, the A's are a little bit better hitting. That's fine, but I think, I put more weight into pitching than hitting. And we are backing Andre Payante here, and I know I'm not really a fan of him. His numbers don't really indicate anything that good. 4.34 ERA, 1.37 whip. I get it. That's not very good. He puts too many guys on base, but he's been good on the road. I don't know why that's the case. 5.91 ERA at home in a pitcher-friendly ballpark. St. Louis, he doesn't pitch well there, but he's got a 2.25 road ERA. Okay, so yeah, he's good on the road, but you're probably saying, yeah, but he's pitching in this A's AAA stadium. It's a horrible stadium. Why would you want to have him, why would you want to back him here? Well, this is why. He's kind of an extreme ground ball pitcher, so that can kind of negate the home run, how home run conducive the stadium is. You want a guy that's going to be putting balls into the ground. That doesn't sound right, but you know what I mean. He's induced more ground balls than fly balls this year. And last year, that was the case as well. He had more than 100 more ground ball outs than fly ball outs last year. So it was pretty extreme. And the only really comparison that we can make is he did pitch in the middle of the summer at Coors Field last year. And he wasn't great in that game, but he also didn't allow any home runs. So that seems good to me. You know what I mean? He's limiting the amount of home runs that he allows in these stadiums, even though I know he actually allowed 21 home runs last year, which isn't really that good. But he's a ground ball pitcher, man, so I like that aspect of it. I think that can help him out here. He hasn't allowed that many home runs this year, 5 home runs. He's got 29 strikeouts, 16 walks, 35 hits allowed in 37 to third innings. And I know the number of walks is bad. He's not a huge strikeout guy. I know, but I think he's at least capable. He's decent on the road. His 2 bad starts have both been at home against Milwaukee and Boston for whatever reason. His last start was that one against Milwaukee, but he was pitching pretty well prior to that. He pitched well, for example, on the road against Houston, who is a good hitting team, Pittsburgh as well. Milwaukee, that wasn't even that bad of a start. I think he got a little bit unlucky with the fact that a lot of the guys that he put on base wound up scoring. And then we have to look at his numbers against the A's. And the A's are very unfamiliar with him. Only Heim and McNeil have ever faced him. They each have a single off him. They're 2 for 9 off him with a strikeout, no walks. So we have an unfamiliarity edge here for Payante, even though I know he's not really a mystery. He's 27 now, and there's game footage on him and whatever, but still, the fact that he's a ground ball pitcher, the fact that he's unfamiliar here, I think does help him, and he has good home road splits. Jeffrey Springs, the home road splits are going to go the opposite of him, and I know he's pitched well this year. I know. 3.89 ERA, 1.14 whip. He's been good. He's pitching for the A's here, but he's been significantly worse in this stadium. 4.87 ERA here at home. He's allowed 5 of the 7 home runs that he's allowed here at home. His overall numbers, yes, they're pretty good. 39 strikeouts, 12 walks, 38 hits allowed in 44 innings. Not a huge strikeout number, but the rest of those numbers are pretty good, I know. The starts where he has done worse, though, he got blown up by the White Sox at home. Did have one bad start on the road against Texas. I mean, it wasn't great, at least. But that's not a great sign because that's a pitcher-friendly ballpark. I don't know. I mean, he's been a little bit all over the map. Like, he did pitch really well on the road against the Yankees. I don't know. But he's back at home here where he doesn't do as well. He did just pitch pretty well on the road against Philly, but he kind of got lucky. He did give up 8 hits in the game. And only 2 runs scoring on that is a little bit lucky, in my opinion. But he didn't walk anybody. 4 strikeouts. So I don't know, man. But then we also look at Springs' matchup numbers against St. Louis. And they're not that good. In 25 at-bats, I know it's not a huge sample, but they have a 280 average against him and 773 OPS. So I think the matchup numbers do actually lean towards Payante in this one. He's got a 6.2 strikeout walk ratio, Springs does, against St. Louis. But we got the situation in our favor here, a travel advantage as well. The home road splits favor this play, and the matchup numbers favor it. So St. Louis is my play here. And my only play of the day. The market looks like it doesn't even agree with me. Whatever, man. We got 66% of tickets, only 56% of the cash on St. Louis. Total is, of course, high. It's at 10. I mean, you got the A's stadium, bad bullpens. Yeah, whatever. Not trying to figure out the total here, though. Money is coming in on the over, though. But not concerned with that here. We're getting a pretty good underdog price, in my opinion, here, even though I know St. Louis is overrated. But they look like they're more legitimate than Cincinnati does. You know what I mean? Like St. Louis and Cincinnati, I thought both teams are going to completely fall off. But St. Louis has at least had a good offense. Cincinnati has not had a good offense or bullpen. St. Louis has at least had a good offense. So there is that. Yeah, I mean, we're going to go with it. I don't think the A's should be favored like this in a situation like this. I think I've said everything I need to say. That's the one play. Final game on the baseball slate is Giants-Dodgers. The Giants won last night. Dodgers lost 3 in a row. Dodgers, I thought they might be in a bounce-back spot, but instead it looks like they were kind of hung over. They had Sasaki on the mound, who was not exactly their best pitcher, and they were going up against a pretty good young pitcher for San Francisco that they were unfamiliar with, which I already forget what his name is. McDonald, yeah, him. And he wasn't that great in the game, but he was good enough. Anyway, Dodgers did use a lot of their relief staff last night, though. They've had a pretty good bullpen this year, but they used 5 relief pitchers yesterday, so that's not good. The Giants only used 3. Dodgers have had the better bullpen generally. They're down to 6th now in bullpen. Giants are inexplicably 21st, but their ERA is in the mid-3s, so I do think the Giants' bullpen is a lot better than 21st. In fact, I think they're probably a little bit better than the Dodgers' bullpen, so I think the Giants have a bullpen edge here. They certainly do not have a hitting edge, though. Dodgers are number 2 in offense. You might argue they're still the best. Probably they are. The Giants are second worst right now, 29th. Huge offensive edge for the Dodgers here. And I think they have a huge starting pitching edge, too. Adrian Hauser is pitching for the Giants. 6.19 ERA, 1.54 whip. That's not good at all. He's been a little bit better on the road. 5.31 ERA, which is weird because San Francisco's park is considered pretty pitcher-friendly. So I don't know what the deal is there. He pitched well in his last outing at home against San Diego, but it's San Diego. They're not a good offense. He was really, really struggling leading into that game. He's gotten only 19 strikeouts in 36 and a third innings. That's not good. He's just not fooling guys. He's allowed 45 hits, 11 walks. Could be worse, but usually Hauser has a better strikeout rate than that. That's really, really low, man. So there's something off with him right now, and his numbers against the Dodgers are not really good. and 57 at bats, 11-7 strikeout walk ratio, not good. 281 batting average allowed, and 868 OPS, also not good. So Hauser might get housed in this game. He might not do well. And obviously the Dodgers pitcher is the way better of the two. Yoshinobu Yamamoto, he's got a 3.09 ERA this year, 1.01 whip. He's been a little bit better at home, 2.92 home ERA. He's been pitching well all season. There's not a whole lot else to say. He's allowed 3 or fewer earned runs in every outing. 40-10 strikeout walk ratio, 34 hits allowed in 43 2/3 innings. So he's thrown 666 pitches on the season, though. Man, that's not good. 666. Oh, man. He's satanic. But anyway, yeah, I mean, overall, these numbers are good. Strikeout rate's not really that high, but everything else looks good. He did face San Francisco back on April 21st. On the road, went 7 innings in that one. Actually took a loss because he got no run support in that one. He allowed 3 earned runs, 7 strikeouts, 2 walks. He wasn't bad in that outing. His numbers against the Giants overall are really good. In 105 at-bats, 181 average allowed, 532 OPS, 34-12 strikeout walk ratio. Yeah, I mean, to me, the Dodgers, I mean, they've lost 4 games in a row. They have a huge starting pitching advantage here. The Dodgers make sense to me, but it's like, how do you play them at minus 300? You can't, really. You could play the run line here. I mean, this might be a situation where I agree with it. I'm not going to put it on my card, but I think it makes a lot of sense to do that. Bounce back spot for the Dodgers, the way better starting pitcher on the mound, way better matchup numbers. Minus 1.5 is probably at about minus 130, which is, playable at that price. But obviously you need the Dodgers to win by at least 2 runs. And oh no, they're at home, which means if they're winning, they won't get to bat in the 9th inning. But the thing is that if they're winning, you should basically, if you're making that play, you should expect that they're winning by more than 1 run going into the 9th inning. But then, yes, they have to not allow any more runs at that point. But yes, probably that is how I would play that game, is run line, Dodgers. And I know I've played a couple of run lines this year. Dodgers, I think, were the losing run line that I gave out not that long ago. On the road that time, though. But this one, it's a bit more of a juicy price. I mean, I don't know. You could go Dodgers over their team total, too. I mean, their offense is too good to be stifled like this many games in a row. So if you want to play it that way, you could do that, too. But then again, they do have to face a decent bullpen in this game. But Dodgers over their team total makes some sense to me. All right, WNBA. I got nothing in the WNBA today. The WNBA returns tonight. Atlanta at Dallas is the first game up. Atlanta is clearly the better team here, but and Dallas, everybody's hyped about Dallas, I guess, because Dallas, they've had the number 1 draft pick 2 years in a row. Everybody knows who Beckers is. They know that her girlfriend is on the team now, Fudd. But it takes a while for that chemistry to develop, man. And the odds makers are telling you, no, that Atlanta is the better team, even though I don't like Atlanta's acquisition of Angel Reese. But Atlanta is favored on the road. Odds makers are telling you that they're the better team. They're at minus 2.5. Dallas looks like they're public. 71% of tickets, 66% of the cash on them. So it looks like they're a dreaded public home underdog here. I think the situation is a little better for Atlanta, too. Atlanta was favored on the road against Minnesota and almost lost the game. And Angel Reese missed a potential game-winning shot in that game, too. And then her team, I think, bailed her out and made the shot for her. But anyway, they won the game. They were decent favorites. So I like Atlanta here, but one hesitation I do have is beating Minnesota. I mean, Minnesota's not as good this year as they were last year, it looks like. They still have one of the best players in the league, Collier. So that's what concerns me, is that that's still pretty big to go on the road and beat Minnesota. I was correct about Minnesota covering the game. They almost won. But then again, Atlanta did almost lose as a favorite. So you could argue they're going to show up with more focus here. Dallas did win their first game. This is why Dallas is so hyped, because they just went into Indiana and they pulled off the upset and they beat Caitlin Clark and company. But I did tell you that I thought Indiana might struggle a little bit early on because they need to just get their chemistry back after Clark and Cunningham missed a huge chunk at the end of the season. I think Indiana's a pretty solid team. I think they're one of the top maybe 4 or 5 teams in the league this year. But big upset for Dallas. Now they're returning home off of that. I do think it is a little bit of a letdown spot for Dallas as well. So I like Atlanta in that game. It doesn't make my card, but I would lean Atlanta. Minnesota at Phoenix. Both of these teams are coming off, interesting games, I guess. I don't know. I don't know how I was going to word that. Phoenix had a huge blowout win, which was one of our winners on the show, against Vegas. Then they had a huge letdown. I wish I added that to my card. I felt pretty strongly about Golden State there, and we went with Vegas that day, and we did get a win with that one. But we could be 3-0 instead of 2-0 in the WNBA so far. I liked Golden State. It was a letdown spot for Phoenix. They got kind of wrecked in the game. They lost by 16. Now they're back at home. This is their home opener, so I think it's a decent spot for Phoenix to bounce back after an ugly loss, but they are returning home from a road trip, and I don't like the road trip return spots, but in the WNBA, a lot of the road trips are quicker. Like this was only, and I'm not sure that a lot of them have families, if you know what I mean. I don't want to get nuked or anything here, but I think the road trip return spot is a little bit less bad in the WNBA. They were in Vegas and Golden State, so it's not really a huge trip to go back to Phoenix. Now, Minnesota's going to have this game circled, though. Minnesota did just play a tough game, and they almost pulled off the upset against Atlanta. So normally I would say, a team coming off an almost upset, facing a team that just got destroyed, and it was because they were in a bad spot. I would look to play on that team that got destroyed, which is Phoenix. But the reason why I am not going to do that is because this is a huge revenge game for Minnesota, because you remember who ended your season, and for Minnesota, that was Phoenix. Minnesota took a 1-0 lead in the series in the semifinals last year. And then what did they do? They proceeded to lose the next game in overtime and then lose the next 3 games, lose the series, and get knocked out. And Minnesota was one of the best teams in the league. A lot of people were picking Minnesota to win the whole thing. I took Vegas because I faded the public a little bit there. Had that right in my bracket, but I did have Minnesota winning against Phoenix and getting to the championship round. That didn't happen. Minnesota's going to have this circled, man. Minnesota was favored in that series against Phoenix. They lost the series. Kind of ridiculous. They weren't even able to send it back home for a deciding Game 5 to win it. So I think Minnesota is clearly going to show up in this game for that reason. So I'm not going to play the game. I think generally the situation supports Phoenix, but the revenge angle is pretty big for Minnesota. Phoenix is a 4.5 point favorite. So things have changed where now the odds makers are telling you Phoenix is the better of these two teams right now this year. I think Minnesota probably lost some of their better players from last year, even though they still have their best player from last year. But for me, though, I think the revenge is pretty big. I think I am going to slightly lean towards Minnesota getting the points there. Like, I'm just not so sure Phoenix is that much better than Minnesota. And it did look like Minnesota was getting, it looked like Minnesota was undervalued in that first game of the season like I thought they were against Atlanta, and they almost won the game. So that's what I think. And then the last game is a very uninteresting game between New York and Portland. Portland is one of the expansion teams. They didn't look good in their first game. They're a huge underdog here. New York is one of the best teams in the league. The Liberty, they blew out Connecticut in the first game, though Connecticut is also one of the worst teams in the league. And then the Liberty beat a probably mediocre Washington team. So the Liberty, they've had an easy schedule to start the season, but Portland is also not a good team. But the Liberty are having to travel cross-country for this, so that's a little bit of a concern. Generally, though, I would say because the Liberty got taken into overtime by a Mystics team that isn't really that good, the Liberty were favored, although not by much, by 5.5. Normally, I would say the Liberty should be in a bounce-back spot. Like, they should have gotten scared by that bad performance where they almost lost the game to an inferior team. But I don't think they're going to really, take Portland seriously. And the Liberty having to go on the road out to the West Coast, shift time zones. I talk about how that fucks with their biological clock. Portland's still looking for their first win as a franchise. They lost their first game pretty ugly to Chicago. With these expansion teams, though, it's going to take time for them to gain chemistry, you know what I mean? So the chemistry might get better as the season goes on. It's probably not there yet in the second game of the season, although it's good that they got one game out of the way at the very least against an improved Chicago team who ditched Angel Reese. Still, in this game, I don't know. I think I'm going to lean slightly towards Portland plus the points here. They're a 13-point underdog. I don't like the biological clock set up for the Liberty here. 84% of tickets, 95% of the cash on Portland, who are staying at home. So there is a pretty big travel edge for Portland because they're not traveling. So at least there is that. But yeah, I mean, the Liberty might focus a little bit more off of that bad game against Washington, but maybe not. I'm going to lean Portland slightly there. And yeah, that's it for the WNBA. All right, NHL. I was thinking I was going to give out a play in the NHL in the Zigzag, and the money does support it, but the statistics don't really. So I'm going to just stay off the game, and that is the Buffalo-Montreal game. Montreal now leads 2-1 because they did get the win in the last game, and I liked Buffalo to win that game. I don't like either of these teams, though, man. Carolina should easily beat either one of these teams once it gets to that series, although Carolina's going to have way too much time off going into the first game of the series. Both of these hockey games tonight are on ESPN, by the way. Now, Buffalo's been a decent road team, so they could definitely win a road game here, and I said that in the previous game, and I still agree because they're coming off an ugly loss, 6-2, and they lost 5-1 the game before that. So, yes, based on that, it looks like a zigzag spot. And I thought the previous game was because Buffalo actually outplayed Montreal statistically in that second game in Buffalo there, even though they lost 5-1, very misleading. My problem with the 6-2 loss in Montreal is that Montreal did actually outplay them. Montreal had 8 more shots. They dominated the faceoff, 62.3%, and they won the hit battle. And we had a lot of penalties in the game. But yeah, Montreal, even though a 6-2 game is always going to be misleading in hockey, but Montreal won the game statistically, and that is my concern with this. While I do agree with Buffalo in this game, after 2 really ugly-looking losses by 4 goals, I still think it is a zigzag spot for Buffalo, but I would like it a lot better if Buffalo outstatted Montreal again and made that game look better. You know, like I wish that Buffalo outplayed them here, and then the score was that misleading, but it wasn't really. Montreal did get a number of power play goals here, though they did have 2 power play goals. Buffalo had 1, though. So Montreal was 4-1 against them in even strength hockey. No empty net goals in the game. So I'm going to stay away. I have to stay away from it, but I do lean Buffalo. If I was going to play any of the hockey today, I would play Buffalo. That would be my play, but it's not going to be on my card. It was close, but I'm not going to do it. The money does agree, seemingly. 72% of tickets on Montreal, 72% of the cash on Buffalo. You know the public is so recency biased. They're only going to want Montreal here after 2 blowout wins. Montreal's at about minus 135, whatever. I would lean Buffalo money line as the dog there. And then we have Anaheim-Vegas in a 2-2 series. By the way, money is indicating on the under in Buffalo and Montreal as well. Under 6 or 6.5 there. I don't have much of a feel for that. Anaheim-Vegas, the money is indicating even more strongly than the under here. 57% of tickets on the over. 77% of the cash on the under. I see the argument for it. I don't want to do it because the empty net goals just throw so many of these unders into the toilet. I can't do it, man. Empty net goals are so prominent, it's ridiculous. And I think it's really, it's kind of a product of, of just the analytical nature that the game is taking now, where, you see like football teams going for it on more like, in weird situations, going for 2 more and stuff like that. And I actually like it, and going for 4th down more. I actually like that because the analytics like support it, but I think the mental state of your team supports it too. But the same thing is the case in hockey. You see teams going into the empty net earlier and earlier now, and it actually does make sense analytically to do that because even though, yeah, you're obviously going to have a huge chance to give up another goal, but you're not going to win the game unless you have almost no chance to win the game at that point anyway, and your best chance to win is obviously to score a goal, and you're more likely to do that when you are going empty net. So that's why it does make sense to still do it. That's why more teams are doing it. That's why I worry about the under here, even though a 2-2 tied series, generally, defense shows up when a series is tied 2-2. Usually you do get lower scoring games than unders, but you're going to need this one to be like a 2-2 game right at the end of the game for that to really even happen, which I don't really want to bank on that. Money indicating on the under, though. 57% of tickets on the over, 77% of the cash on the under. This is in Anaheim, Vegas is what I'm talking about. The total's at 6, basically, across the board. As far as the side, the money is indicating on Anaheim. I'm not so sure about that. Vegas is back at home. 84% of tickets, 78% of the cash on Vegas. And while I know these teams are pretty close geographically, Vegas is around the same type of favorite they were in the first couple of games, around minus 150 or so. It could be a bounce back for Vegas here, though. I thought this would be a bit of a home-centric series because both teams have significantly better home records than road records this season. Anaheim, in fact, is below 500 on the road, although if you include the overtime losses, Vegas is as well. But I think Vegas, yeah, of course, is better at home than they are on the road. Anaheim is worse on the road than they are at home. Vegas did lose the last game. This series has been back and forth, each team winning then losing. So it's the whole series is zigzag so far. So if that continues, that would mean that Vegas would win this game. They did win one game and lose one game at home so far. I think Vegas is the better team, and I did pick them to win this series, although against Edmonton, which was probably stupid, but Edmonton is just a bad defensive team, man. Even though Edmonton is the more experienced team, neither of these teams are very experienced, Vegas and Anaheim. Vegas hasn't had that much experience with their current coach, but both these coaches have actually won Stanley Cups. Don't remind me, Quenneville. But I believe Tortorella also has won a Stanley Cup before as well. So, yeah, I don't know, man. But Vegas has an experience edge playing-wise, though, in this series. Like, they do have a lot of players that have played in playoff scenarios before, whereas Anaheim doesn't have as many. So, yeah, I would lean to Vegas, but it's not a strong opinion from me. And, of course, I did pick them to win the conference in my bracket. And then we have one NBA game here. By the way, Oklahoma City did dispatch the Lakers last night, while Cleveland continued to be really good at home and evened up the series there. Lakers, they didn't play Luka in the game. Yeah, the Lakers had chances to win that game, but yeah, I mean, I watched the end of it. I was rooting against the Lakers because I hate the Lakers. As a Celtic fan, and I do not like LeBron, you know. But yes, it was enjoyable to watch them go away. I'm not going to lie. OKC is going to have way too much time off before the next series, though. And, yeah, I mean, we'll talk about it if it gets to it. But if OKC draws San Antonio, everybody's going to talk about how San Antonio destroyed Oklahoma City during the regular season. And I think that Oklahoma City is still going to beat them if they wind up having to play them in the playoffs. I think experience is going to loom large. Speaking of experience, though, we have Minnesota playing against San Antonio tonight. And Minnesota is the more experienced of these teams here. Minnesota was able to even up the series, beating San Antonio, but it was, of course, misleading because Wemby, got thrown out of the game. And it was, it was the right call, the ejection. I mean, it was a double flagrant or whatever it was. It wasn't even an accident. Like, he intentionally elbowed, who the fuck was? Why don't he? Naz Reid is who it was. He just intentionally elbowed him. Like, yeah, I mean, you're not going to get away with that. It was the correct call, I think. But that obviously threw the game in favor of Minnesota. With Wemby not on the court, Minnesota obviously was helped out by that. And they wound up winning the game by 5. But if you dig into this, Minnesota won the rebounding battle. Of course, some of that was because Wemby was out, but Minnesota played a decent game here. The one outlier, though, was that San Antonio shot really badly from three-point range, 23% from three, so you do expect that to be better coming into this game. San Antonio is still the better team here. Wemby is going to be back. He's not suspended, so he is playing in this game tonight. San Antonio is a double-digit favorite here for a reason, and I don't know if the public might be slightly kind of leaning towards Minnesota now that this has looked like a competitive series. Oh, it's 2-2, and I'm getting like double digits with Minnesota. Yeah, I don't know about that. San Antonio has 55% of the tickets, 64% of the cash on them. San Antonio, One of the home games, the last time they were at home, they won by 40 points or whatever. The first game they lost outright, though. San Antonio's a 9.5 favorite now at a lot of books. You can get a little bit of a better number on this. Most of the online shops have it at 10.5, though, which is weird because it looks like the Vegas casinos are mostly at 9.5, excuse me, which is interesting. I think those are kind of the more public books, though. In general, though, I don't know. Circa, I'm not so sure. I thought the Circa was considered to be more. Maybe I have to look it up if the Circa is considered to be more of a sharp-ish book. Maybe they're not. I don't know. I forget. But anyway, San Antonio looks like they are getting the money. I'm going to lean that way. I'm not going to play it, but I think the outlier was that San Antonio didn't shoot well from 3, and then, of course, Wemby not playing totally threw that game into flux. But, of course, Minnesota should have won the previous game, though, when we lost our play on Minnesota. Minnesota actually outplayed San Antonio, and Wemby did play in that game. So do with that information what you want. And then, yes, of course, we have the battle of the Frenchmen in this series, which I forgot about. Gobert against Wembanyama there. Anyway, yeah, San Antonio's likely to still win this series. A lot of times in a 2-2 series, the home team does pretty well because they know they have to show up, and they do show up as the better team. They play well. I'd probably lay it with San Antonio. The total's around the same as it was in the previous game. I don't really have a good feel for the total, which is the money's coming in towards the over a little bit, it looks like. The total has gone up a little bit from 217.5 to 218, 218.5. I'm not sure I agree with that because the previous game was a little bit higher scoring, but that was because of Wembanyama's absence. The game did go over the total, I'm pretty sure, but with Wemby not there, like you would think that means, oh my God, that the total should be lower, but that's not the case because Wemby is such a dominant defensive player. With him on the court, I think the game is more likely to go under. But the thing that would kind of have me shying away from that is that Minnesota wants to play an under style of game. San Antonio does not want to. San Antonio kind of wants to up the pace here and throw Minnesota out of their game. I think San Antonio benefits from a faster paced game here. So if they're going to cover, I think that might be a little bit correlated to an over. That is the case throughout this entire series. Anyway, that's going to do it. All that and 2-hour show for one play. There you go. My one play being really selective here today is the St. Louis Cardinals split bet run line money line. If you want to just go money line, I'm not going to say not to do that. So that's going to do it. Let's hope we continue the heater here with this one. Let's hope to go 1-0 again today. Learn to Toad on Twitter. Learn to Toad on Instagram. Check it all out. Subscribe to the channel here. We did get a few new subscribers, so let's keep it coming in. Let's go. I appreciate it, man. Bring all the newcomers in. Dude, I think, is anybody out there giving out all this information for free and this hot? 70, 34, and 5 the last 38 days? Come on, man. I'm giving it out for free. I shouldn't be. That's why you should go to my Patreon, patreon.com, and you can just throw me some support, as Dirty Sock says, just to give me a little something back for giving you all this information. Why not, man? Because I think I should get paid for it. That means I should be back to my full-scale betting, man. I've just been worried to do it. I used to do it because I was backing it with the money that I was making at my jobs, and now that I don't have that, it's like, I don't know, I worry that I have no security blanket here, but I should be doing it. I bet some of the plays that I've given out of the show, but not every single one of them. And if I bet every single one of them, I would be up bigly, as Scott Adams would say, R.I.P. Anyway, this show is also on audio. Listen over there, Apple, Spotify, Spreaker. That all helps me out. Covered in Uke is my Uke channel on YouTube. I've been uploading some new stuff there as well. Tribute for Weezer's Blue album anniversary the other day. Did the song that's the most fun to play from that album, which people might not remember that song, but the Weezer fans know it. So I did that one. Then you can go check it out and you'll see which song it was. Loser Cast will be back tonight as well. I'm not sure who I'm actually picking for my loser tonight. I have a few different options. Check that out tonight and you'll find out who I pick as my loser tonight. That'll be at 10 p.m. And then the Giants G-Spot podcast. I don't know when that's actually happening, but it'll be going more full throttle during the actual NFL season. But we will do a draft recap, I think, at some point. And speaking of football, I know I haven't done it yet. I was thinking about doing it yesterday, the season win total show. But what I realized is that there's this big event for the schedule release for the NHL, I believe Thursday this week. So I'm waiting until that. And then we know who the team's opponents are going to be. That's already set, but we don't know which weeks the games are going to be played or on. So, oh no, I'm finishing a sentence with a preposition. Oh God. Tom Woods is going to come after me for that. He hates that. Anyway. Yeah, but I'll wait until that happens, and then I will do my season win total show. I think 3 pretty strong season win total angles to give out. Didn't actually make them plays last year. I don't know if I'm going to make them official plays on the show, but all 3 of them won last year that I gave out. So be on the lookout for that still. Subscribe to the channel, and you'll get notified when it happens. That's going to do it. I appreciate it, everybody. Peace. Happy Tuesday.
But don't you go quiet, don't you fade from the floor. Your name still means something to somebody for sure. Put the glass down, baby. Look at me now.